Welcome to Lawya Bizniz. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Comment, like, share, and subscribe, bro.
That's right. Hit that notification bell.
Yes.
Or
Ding,
else
ding.
Vanya the Oracle is going to come get you.
I'm going to do a reading on you.
You know what it is.
And I'm going to do.
All right. Subscribe. All right. This is the what do we call this again?
I hope we're talking about the St. Patrick's Day thing, victory, or no?
What happened on St. Patrick's Day?
You got a case dismissed.
Oh, that
and
case.
He had warrants on him.
Right, he had 2 warrants on him. He had a no bond warrant. He had a 16. I don't remember. I don't want to say because I'm not remember exactly how much that other warrant was. He had a probation violation. The court had already found that he was a flight risk. He was on probation for some pretty. I mean, it was. All I can tell you, the underlying allegations were pretty serious. But yeah, on St. Patrick's Day, we got him out and free. All the warrants were taken. He had to get served on the warrants, obviously, but he walked into court. He walked out of court, and his probation was terminated. Well, actually, to be more technically correct, his probation was what's it? Why can't I remember the term all of a sudden? But his probation was terminated unsuccessfully, for lack of a better term. But his probation was terminated, which means he was no off of probation. He was no longer in jeopardy of having any sort of other warrants. So he's a very happy man. Yeah, it was a good victory on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
But I was actually thinking about this other case, which might have been from before, because we had this client of mine. I hope he hears this, by the way. I hope he hears this. I'm going to say who it is, but yeah, this client of mine. And every once and again when he calls, I'll hear these chickens in the background. And like once I made a mistake and I was like, hey, bro, like, what's with all the chickens in the background? He's like, oh, man, dude, I'm at the fight. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to hear anything else.
You know what's funny? I know who you're talking about. I remember when he came to the office, I swear, like, I know that your door was closed, but I heard I guess he was watching a video. And I'm hearing all these roosters, and I'm like, what the hell?
I don't know why it's so listen, it's a crime. And let me listen for the people listening. Let me tell you something. I mean, this is so true, but it's so true. Like, you are in more legal jeopardy a lot of the times if you hurt an animal or got yourself involved in like animal fighting than if you accidentally kill somebody.
Yep.
They'll be like, oh man, I can understand how that mistake could happen, but the fact that you decide that Lassie had to drown, oh, bro, you're going to go under the prison for a long time and your entire career is over.
I saw this video of a man. He flung his dog over this fence. How he did it was amazing because the dog, it was a pretty big dog, and he just took it and like flung it over. I think he flung it to like the shelter or something. I don't know. But of course, there's surveillance, and yeah, the internet cooked him, and they want his head on a
yeah. Oh, dude, did you ever hear about? There was a story about these people that there was this video of this guy like who was abusing cats, and like the internet got together and like found this dude because he was like literally posting videos of him like doing abuse, and the entire internet, or basically a whole bunch of internet sleuths got together.
Oh, was this a Netflix documentary? Don't mess with cats.
It might have ended up it might have ended up being a documentary. But yeah,
that's insane.
That's real. So
I wish people
don't mess with animals is basically the lesson from that one.
I wish people would come together like that in cases of like when you see kids being mistreated. Like why? Like
yeah, I know
people think that it's not their business, that's not their kid, but I don't think that's a good attitude to have.
I don't think anybody's going to disagree with you, to be honest with you. The problem is just that's how it is.
Unfortunately.
People love dogs and
they
kids
feel like
not so much.
Yeah. Like, why are dogs seen as like community children, but actual children are not seen as community children?
You went too far. Actual children are not seen.
What?
They're not seen.
Oh, yes. Just
They're
like
invisible. Yeah. To society, right?
Children and the elderly.
But if you are a fetus, though, ooh. Exactly. You know what I'm talking about. All right. So there was that. So but his case, which was actually a little bit contentious for no good reason, just a real misunderstanding that I was
got his tears in a cup. Finally, he put up a good fight. I think
he put up a really good fight. But the thing was, like, if he just would have heard me, like, I kept on telling him the same thing over and over again, like, dude,
you were not budging.
This is the problem. If you could just understand this is the problem, we have no problem. And then I remember, like, finally when he was just like completely frustrated, he took too many L's. He was like, what's the problem? I'm like, this is the problem. Like, if you just do this, we can settle. And he's like, oh, I can do that. And I'm like, dude, you could have done that like months ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
yeah, he
tried. Got that resolved. Got a happy client. It's all good. I'm gonna start eating these gummy bears.
Give it to me.
Don't eat anymore.
They're mine now.
Save them for me.
They're mine now. Look at me. I am the captain.
All right.
Now.
What else happened? Anything else? Or are we gonna?
That was last week. So that
Any
was
hot goss?
Any hot goss? It's Aries season.
I'm not gonna touch that. All right. So, you think we're ready to start the show?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, welcome to the Lawya Bizniz podcast. Like representing. I am your host, Greg McFarland. I am, of course, an attorney right here in South Florida. But this podcast is not about really giving legal advice directly. But it is an attorney, and I'm really just commenting on some legal-related things and really trying to bring a perspective to really the immigrant community to have an understanding of, like, you know, these were the laws that you had when you were in Jamaica or Trinidad or maybe even Cuba. And now you're here in this country, and how do you want to react to certain incidents? Like, how do you defend your rights? How do you protect your rights? And so,
how to navigate the system
exactly
in a new country-ish. Right?
Thank you. In fact, before we even go any further, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Vanya the paralegal, aka Vanya the oracle.
All right. I like a little music there, like you're like a magical being.
That's exactly what I was going for.
All right. Well, okay. So today's show, we decided we're going to talk about
relationships and the law.
Relationships and the law, and that's a pretty good topic because it covers a whole bunch of stuff. We can't obviously talk about every single thing, but we're going to talk about some things. And as always, I'm going to let the oracle lead the way. So,
well, just to give a rough or a little outline. So relationships like marriage, husband, wife, mom, kids, or parents and kids.
All right.
What other like relationships get?
So let's talk a little bit about family law. And I'm going to talk a little bit about men in particular as it relates to family law. First things first, right? Here's the thing. As a fundamental thing in this country, and you must always remember that you have rights, but you must use them. You must stand up for them. You must defend them. Failure to stand up and defend your own rights is going to result in you not having a good day. That's generally how that works. What do I mean? It affects every area of law. If you get in an accident and you say, oh, okay, no, I'll probably be fine. I'm not going to go to the doctor. I'm not going to get this diagnosed and all of that stuff. You would find out later on, well, no, when you're having problems, they're going to say, well, how do we know those injuries came from that accident? You didn't go and get that diagnosed that day. And now all of a sudden you have a problem. So it's really that you have to stand up for your rights. So as it relates to family law, here's my best advice for the dads in particular. If you have kids, build a relationship with those children and keep that relationship going with those children regardless of anything else that's going on. It's a win-win. Number one, it's a good thing to have a good relationship with your kids anyway. But number two, there may come a time when your children are going to want to stay with one parent or another. And the fact of the matter is there's no court order that's going to stop them from doing what they're going to do. And if you have one parent that's insistent on getting all the child support they believe they're entitled to, you might, if they decide to go and stay with mom more, you might end up having to pay more money in child support. That's just the reality. So one, I tell you, just accept that as a reality. Sometimes that's going to happen. But two, build a good relationship with your children. You want to have a situation where your children are more likely to come and stay with you and want to stay with you.
Yeah.
That will actually avoid problems in the future. And the other thing is, the person that you had that child with, well, it's just like, you know, they say in the songs and all of this stuff. It is 18 years. They got you for 18 years.
18 years.
Instead of thinking about it as a prison sentence, you really have to start looking at it as an opportunity to be able to work with somebody to create the next Shaquille O'Neal who's going to make you millions or whatever. Because you two might not be able to get along, but maybe this investment that you're going to make in this child is going to be well worth it in the end. So make the investment, because also doing something like that, being a good dad despite the fact that y'all can't get along, is going to go a long way in court. And let me tell you, in case people don't believe, because they do think the system is tilted and is tilted towards the women. The women do get a little bit more benefit of the doubt, in my opinion. But I will tell you this also. A man who's trying to do the right thing honestly and earnestly and represents that in court, it goes a very long way in getting what he would normally might not be able to get. So just as a foundational thing, I know this is like whatever, like duh, like of course take it, but it's easy to want to like, well, I don't want to go and take them to soccer practice, and I don't want to do this, or well, they didn't bring the kid over when they were supposed to, or they didn't come to the drop-off point on time, so I'm leaving. Bro.
No bueno.
Let me tell you something. That is when the land you just, or you know what, maybe you make a lot of money, you don't mind just paying off most of it and off the child support because you just feel like, say, you know, that's what's important to you, and that's fine. That's fine too, I suppose, if you decide that you want to do, but that's what it's going to cost you. And remember, the more contentious it gets, the fatter my pockets get. Well, the fatter the attorney's pockets gets, because that's where the money is going. And guess where? And it's going from mom, and it's going from dad, and guess where it's not going? To the kids.
To your babies, exactly.
So it's going straight into my pockets. Yeah. And I mean, you know, my son is in college right now, and I appreciate the funding. So, I mean, you could keep doing what you're doing. Or you could start listening to, like, build a good relationship with your kids and just realize that this person that you're with, you're just in a business, and you might not like the partner, but maybe the business investment is going to be good.
Yeah, well, I'm in a co-parenting situation, and yeah. And at first, it was literally, I mean, now we can talk about other things and not argue, but at first it was literally like, okay, like, what time are you coming here? What time? Which is fine. Like, it shouldn't be like butting heads or whatever.
How's your situation going? Is it amicable?
Yes, now it is. Like, at first it wasn't. And that's why the conversations were so cut and dry, but we were at least able to, you know, do that for the kids. But
and do you prefer that it's amicable? Does it make your life easier?
It makes a lot easier, because then, like, it doesn't feel weird to be like, oh, hey, do you mind coming a little bit later today, or whatever the case is. It doesn't feel like, oh boy, we're about to get into an argument now because I'm asking him to come at this time and not the time that we originally stated, or stuff, you know, and things like that.
And how much money do you pay in attorney's fees?
0.
All right, so
I don't want the court in my life.
I hope you get my point. What did you say?
I don't want the court in my life.
Let me tell you something. That's something I tell every single client. Like, hey, option A, don't get the government in your life. Do not get the court in your life. If you can avoid them being in your life, keep them out of your life, because once they're in your life, it's not necessarily that easy to get them out of your life. Now you got these people in your life just, you know, second guessing everything you doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And unless you have, you know, you got that bankroll to pay this lawyer, then, you know, to get them out of your life, then they're in your life. And no, you still got to pay me. You see how this all works?
Do custody agreements in court, like, is it until the child turns 18? That's how it works?
Not exactly. Okay. So it is until they turn 18, but it's really more 18 and graduated high school.
Whatever happens.
So I believe if they don't graduate high school, then I believe it goes all the way up to 19. Okay. But it could be different depending on what state you're in, what country you're in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so yeah, I pretty much want, how could you get the court out if,
when you don't have a short period of time? And I mean, look, there's a there's a guy I know. I'm gonna say that I saw him in court once recently, and it was just unfortunate. Meaning, I was just in court because I had a family matter that I was taking care of, and he was in court, and I was like, "Oh, there goes my friend." Never realizing that this is not a lawyer, but it's a former lawyer, and the reason why he got into the former lawyer position has to do with this.
He got disbarred?
Yeah, he got disbarred as a result of family issues.
His personal family.
Yeah, his personal family issues. And I mean, I'm not for nothing, an amazing attorney. Otherwise, an amazing attorney. How does that happen?
I could see it happening over a client. You fumbled something, but
sometimes, well, this is the thing, right? So this is the thing about family law and what you have to think about. Like, they'll tell you, like, if you represent yourself, you have a fool for a client. Because your emotional connection to the case is going to make you think and act improperly. That's why you need to have an impartial person that's representing you. But maybe if you're really good, you might just be like forcing, I don't even want to be honest with you, I don't even want to talk about that because it's so...
I mean, but you can go to the library, right? And like teach yourself like...
I know, but it's so... I can just imagine just being... Look, this touches me in a very personal way because, I mean, look, I can just imagine, like, you can get skilled at what we do. And if you know, like, oh, man, I can do this, and I can win. You know what I mean? I know how to win because I know how you learn how to win. You might be so passionate about their position that you're just driving other people and just making very poor decisions. And maybe because they like you, maybe because they've known you before and all of these things, you just go the wrong way. And that's the thing,
Wait, can you elaborate on the lawyer guy or no?
I'm not gonna.
Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna.
I'm very curious.
Well, I'm not going. Maybe at some point in the future, but the thing is, I'll elaborate it like this. He was in violation of court orders, allegedly, related to his family situation, and because he continued to violate those orders, as contrary. Listen, just hold on a second. Contrary to popular belief, let me just set something straight right now. Lawyers cannot lie. We cannot lie and we cannot disobey the tribunal. We cannot disobey judges. We have to follow the law.
Officers of the court.
Exactly. So when we get a subpoena, like you people get called all the time, hey, Greg, get a subpoena, I have to go to court. Yeah, you have to go to court. You're asking me, like you can go to the police and be like, hey, police, from this perspective, we are officers of the court. So if you get a subpoena, yeah, you have to go to court. You can't ask me. You go to, hey, why you never come to court, Mr. Robinson? Oh, Judge, Gregory, this I never have to go, it go. Him say, no man, fire bun for that, yo. Judge thing a Babylon thing.
Judge.
Hey, yo.
Courtroom, yo.
Just save that for the podcast. Can't put that one on YouTube. All right, but anyway. So in reality, yes, you do have to obey the judge, and if you don't, you can be liable to your own license being in jeopardy because how can you be an attorney and then you have orders and you're not complying with them?
Yeah.
So it's related to that, but I'm just telling you how you could get too personally involved. And I mean, look, what's more personal than family, right? But I tell people, this is why I tell people, like, look, the best thing that you can do, because in the same way I can tell you that no order is necessarily going to get your child to come and stay with you. No order is necessarily going to stop that child from coming to see you either. If you understand what I mean. Not like if you have like some sort of stay away order because you're doing, questionable things. But I mean, like if custodial, like, they're supposed to be there that weekend, but they really want to spend it with you. I mean, things like that are going to happen. It's just reality, So, the best thing that you can really do overall, like if you're not doing anything else, if you can deal with this spouse of yours, I would tell you, like, put all your energies and focus on just this child or these children. Mm-hmm. Because
what's best for them?
I mean, don't end up like you walk out and then the next thing you know, this kid all of a sudden multi-millionaire from doing something and then you showing up like, hey, what's up, man? What's up, bro?
Yeah, like Doja Cat's dad, he was like MIA, and then she's a big artist now, and he's trying to pop back in her life. Like, hey, daughter.
You know what I mean? Like, don't be that,
and
man.
it's so painful, like to.
Yeah, because she's still her dad, and she's probably still going to be like, dude, it's still my dad. So even though he did all of this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's one story, but can you imagine the other version of the story?
Didn't President Barack Obama have like a similar story like that? Like his dad was out of the picture. I can't remember because he was raised by his mom, right?
I ain't saying nothing about the perfect president, Barack.
No, I'm not.
Obama.
It's his upbringing, and then his dad.
He was raised perfectly.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just saying, like, didn't that happen to him? Like his dad popped.
I mean, if you're looking for me to say anything bad about Mr. Barack Obama, it's just not going to happen.
I'm not.
You know. No, I don't care. Listen, and by the way, there's a lot of internet haters be like, he didn't do stuff for people. I'm like, whatever, perception. You don't get it.
Look,
I get
whatever.
it.
He was a president. I'm not discussing.
Dude, he was cool, if not anything else.
He was the swaggy. He brought so much swag to the White House. Like
he did wear some mom pants though. Every once and again, he got them mom jeans on. You know what I'm talking about?
When he was playing basketball. Oh.
No, I don't think he was wearing. But anyway, all right. So we digress. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's another side to this thing. So on one side, here I am saying like, hey, dads, here's what you should do. You should really build this relationship with your kids. But I'm going to tell you.
Also, moms, don't take out the hate of or resentment of dad onto your babies. Not cool.
Oh, and since we're going through this, I mean, might as well tell some other things. And this is personal and also part of family law. It's personal to me. Hey guys, do not send messages with children. That is a wicked. I don't care who hears this. It's a wicked thing to do. Don't do it. Don't do it. Do not have your child as a messenger to send hateful messages between both parents. Do not do that.
So I do have a personal story. It wasn't hateful messages, but my ex at one point was like refusing to talk to me, and he would literally use my daughter to be like, okay, tell your mom like XYZ, like relaying messages. And I was like, yo, I'm not doing this. Like, what are you doing? You're messing with them. Like, and they're just in the middle. They have no idea what is going on, why mommy and daddy can't talk to each other.
Yeah, it's not something you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. And I mean, look, I'm not going to pretend like you can't end up doing it and not really thinking about doing it because your family work
it can
together
be
at some
subconscious.
point. And sometimes you might be like, hey, just tell your mom to blah blah blah. So I don't want to like completely just whatever. That's why I was like trying to say like hateful messages because there's some of that's going to happen anyway. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's real life, but you know when you're really crossing the line and you're really getting the kids to like be doing
your
things,
dirty work.
Yeah, to throw some shade on the other. Just leave them out of it because they want to love mommy and they want to love daddy and they don't want to like be a part of this drama. So don't do it. No, speaking of don't do it, let me just get to the other side because we did like this promo thing. I don't think we released it yet. Well, as of the filming of this thing, but where I spoke about this issue.
The domestic violence.
Oh, the
injunction.
DV trap. Oh my God. All right. So listen. So this is what it's about. Okay. This is how it goes. And I tell you, this happens all the time. All right. So gentlemen, this is how it goes. She don't like you. All right. Let's pretend it's not about Will Smith.
I mean, this can happen to any.
All right. But don't tis. All right. Now. Okay. All right. So. All right. So anyway, so this is what happens, right? She don't like you. She don't like you no more. She just don't like you no more. It is what it is. But
she plotting.
Despite all her efforts, you are just like, hey, listen, you're gonna let her stay. You don't care. You're just like whatever. You just don't want to face up to it. So she starts getting more bold in her actions and what the things she's doing. Like now she's hollering at this person, like she's making phone calls, she's getting these late night text messages, everything. Like you're like,
she's back outside.
Yeah, she's trying to get back to these streets. All right, nah, bro, come on. All right, so what's really going on is this, right? So now you're getting upset, bro. What you need to do, dude, this is like some Andrew Tate vibe for real. But anyway, what you need to really do is like, look, you need to recognize that she don't like you no more. And you need to man up and you take that. And then you need to go get an attorney. You need to file for divorce. What you're not going to do is anything remotely resembling any kind of violence. And I never said violence. I said resembling it. Not even resembling it. And me personally, I'm going to start recording everything. Because I've seen these tactics before. What tactics are these, Greg? I'm asking myself questions right here. Okay.
Symptoms of narcissism.
If she has already gone to, it could be a he, I suppose. If this person's already consulted with an attorney, a family law attorney who's experiencing these things, and they said, hey, I'm not saying do this, but hey, if this happens and this happens, what did they say happened? Well, you went and lost your temper and gone and put your hands on somebody. And she's like, oh, no, you didn't. And then she said, all right, now I'm going to call police. And now the police get there, and she said, he put his hands on me. Here is the bruising here, and he's been doing it for X, Y, blah, 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 blah. Take him to jail. And then they look at the Florida statute and go like, this Florida law says I got to arrest. I don't have a choice. So I'm sorry, bro.
But she has to or the person has to specify, like, take him to jail, right? Or otherwise.
No. Oh. No, that's never true. That's never true. No, here's the thing. Police officers have some discretion in misdemeanors, and domestic violence generally is a misdemeanor. So your question is valid. So yes, a police officer in misdemeanor, like, some guy slaps somebody out in the street, the cop could be like, hey, bro, are you going to cooperate? And if not, they could decide, like, I'm not going to prosecute, because they have some discretion. But in domestic violence, no discretion, because that's what the law says. Okay. You got to arrest if there's evidence of it. So if there's bruising and somebody's saying he did this and that bruise matches what the allegation is, you go into jail. You go into jail that night. Now, why did I tell you she consulted an attorney? Because you're going to go in jail, and you're going to go in jail, and as a result of that arrest, I promise you, in Florida anyway, 99.9% of the times you can expect that as part of that arrest, you will have that criminal judge enter a order for you to stay away. Stay away from the person you allegedly hit in this domestic situation. You cannot go to the house. You cannot call her. You cannot text her. You cannot email her. You cannot call your friend and tell her to talk to her. You can't send a text and tell her, hey, forward this text to somebody else. You cannot communicate. You cannot go over there. You have to go somewhere else. I don't care if you don't have your wallet.
Well, how does this apply in situations where women are getting beat up on a regular basis and the man still can, like, he's not in jail? Like, how, I don't, like, she'll make, like, I've seen, I mean, maybe not in Florida, but she'll make reports, there's evidence, but for whatever reason, like, he's not in jail.
I can't answer all of that, but I have some of the answers for that. But I'm going to have to, you have to save that answer for a little bit.
Does this situation only apply to married couples then?
No.
Okay.
But, wait, hold on. Let me rephrase that. Let me re-answer that. For what I'm talking about, yes, it's going to be really just about married couples, okay, right? Because we're talking about divorce, and all of that's related to what's going to happen in this particular scenario. Because know that you've been taken out of the house, the marital home. You can't go back to it. So if she consults with a lawyer, the next thing that she's going to know that she can do is file a domestic violence injunction. So even though there's a criminal order saying you have to stay away, she's going to get a civil order now compelling you to stay away, and that's going to be good for at least a year. And the evidence is there. Want to go testify at a domestic violence injunction hearing? Sure you can. Also, you have a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent.
Yeah.
So you can testify in your defense at a domestic violence hearing, but guess who might be there with the tape recorder? Actually, it's being recorded. The state attorney. And he'll be like, no, go ahead. You were there, right? And then you hit her? Yep. No, I'm going to see you next week at the arraignment. I just wanted to make sure I got everything on record.
Yeah, we got everything we need.
So now you're at the domestic violence. So what you're going to do, you're going to take that injunction. You might end up taking that injunction. You maybe continue to do something, blah, blah, blah. Or if you have a really good defense, of course, fight it. But no, here you are. No, you have.
Yeah, what if you're both beating up on each other?
Well, that's a whole, I'd have to answer that. I don't know. That's something different.
Okay.
But hold on. Let's just talk about this for right now. So now you have a domestic injunction. You have a criminal injunction. You definitely can't go back to those. You go back to those, you're going straight to jail, for sure. Now that you're out, you're broke, you don't have your wallet, you don't have anywhere to live. You know what comes next? The divorce.
Oh.
The dissolution hits you next.
I was going to say something
And guess what else she's saying? Because remember, this didn't happen over the course of weeks. No, we're over months. You understand? You've been arrested. You've now been out to the house for some period of time. You're not watching the kids. And there's a time of separation. And during that time, while you're out because you have this injunction and everything and you weren't able to be with the kids, guess what's adding up?
Child support?
Child support, bro. Yeah.
Wow.
So now you got child support adding up on top of everything else. So you can't go back to the house. You have a civil, you have a criminal, you have child support adding up because that's the date of separation, right? And you can't. And child support is going to be heavily skewed on the time you have with the child. Do you think you have custody of the child? Maybe.
At that point, no, right?
Maybe if she was really crafty, she's going to say, "Hey, and he beat me up in front of those kids." Oh no, in front of the kids. Well, the only way you're going to see those kids is supervised visitation, and only limited, and only when we think it's going to be okay. With their
that's really
with a guardian on top of that. Now you ask me when you say when you ask me hey, this lawyer dude that end up with this thing, I would have to say I'd have to judge real slow how he got down that road and end up where he ended up, because this system, if you know how to work it, look at how brutal this can be to someone.
Oh wait, I think.
By the way, I'm not done. So
no, I just remembered who you're talking about now.
So now you have mom who's in the house with the kids, and family law says that, hey, listen, if you want to break up, that's fine, but we're going to protect the kids, and that means the kids are going to go to the same school, and they probably should stay in the same house that they grew up in. And if you made a whole bunch of money and you bought this house, well, mom can't afford to pay for this house, but you can. Thanks for the house, bro. So now I got your house, I got your kids, and you haven't even seen them, and you owe me a ton of child support. Oh, and you're going to need several lawyers. You're going to need one really good one to take care of all three of these things all at once and somehow pull you out at the other end and still have you be a living human being and still have your job and all your licenses and all of that good stuff.
Well, I mean, if you're really abusive, then you deserve all of that. So, yeah, but I feel like this information can be used for sinister.
I feel like you're not feeling the pain that these men are going through, but I don't know, if you're abusive, maybe you deserve that. I was don't flip on.
What are you talking about? Hashtag cancel this dude right here.
I'm just saying, dude. Why you hating on all these brothers? Yo,
I'm not hating.
Okay.
I mean, some of them deserve it, and then some of them probably are in a situation where
It's just turning me, man. I want to fight for the underdog all the time. I don't want to believe anybody did anything wrong. And even if they did, they're getting punished worse than they deserve. But that's just the way I feel about everything. But
and you men have got away with things too long.
Hey, who you talking
Down
about?
with the patriarchy.
Okay, all right. Okay. Where were you again?
Anya the Oracle.
Freaking Oracle.
Add me on Instagram.
All right. So anyway, so now she got a house. You get a divorce, so she's going to file for the house. She's probably going to get it. The kids are going to stay in the house. You're going to go to the same school, and you were all out there. Now here's the thing: you can actually fight all of that and actually come out on the other end pretty good. Here's the only way you lose: you don't build a good relationship with your kids, and you don't accept that relationship is over. Because as good as any lawyer is going to do for whatever they're going to do for you, at the end of the day, they can't do those two things for you. And just to keep things real with you, I mean, that is what's going to save you all the money and all that time and all that heartache. Because, look, the reality is, I mean, the lawyers are just going to close your file and put them in the box with the rest of them.
Yeah.
I mean, after we get our 5-star review, right? But after, you know what I mean? But they're going to go in the box until they call again, or if you're reaching out, or if you're having some, we're giving away some Lawya Bizniz t-shirts, for example. Or, keeping it 100, though. I want to wear my brand.
I'm wearing mine, too.
What? This is how we keep it.
This is, so funny.
Right,
got
so we did. It's a McFarlane
Justice
song.
League.
Probably won't see. Anyway, we're looking over at our producer, and he's like,
they can't see
what you're doing right now.
We're getting disrobed.
Anyway, all right. So, but that's the thing about family law. So, even with everything that can happen to you, and even them skewing everything, that advice I'm giving you right at the very beginning is probably the most important. Seriously, take care of your
But you mean before something like this happens, you should already have a solid. Yeah.
This is something you should do.
Don't wait until after.
Do it at all costs. Do it at all costs. And listen, if you are, I don't know if you're pro-life, I think especially if you're pro-choice, especially. I don't care. I mean, my point is it doesn't really matter what political affiliation or everything, whatever it is. It doesn't care if you're black, white, purple. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever. There's a fundamental thing we should all be able to get behind. I'm not going to say the children are our future, but I mean, certainly the society is going to be better if we all decided that it was important to not do this to children.
Yeah.
Because, like in my practice, I don't take many family cases, and a big part of it is the kids. I don't really want to have to deal with this. Like if you're not going to act right, we're going to have a problem. I don't know if I can really represent you because it's going to be a problem eventually, and you're going to be looking at me like what? And then I might have to tell you. You know what I mean? I don't have to tell you like, dude, you know what you got to do? Or ma'am, you know what you got to do? Because listen, the truth is it does go both ways. I've had it on both sides. You know what I mean? And I mean, because the system is skewed, right? When you see the woman who doesn't have custody, then you start looking like, oh, wow.
Oh, my God. I knew someone like that, and I was like, whoa, like, but I never wanted to pry or ask or anything, but, man, it is a huge red flag, I think.
She never had kids?
Because, I mean, I know about Florida.
Was it because of the crack?
I don't know what it was about, and I didn't really want to
I'm going to get canceled. I'm going to get canceled before I even have a chance.
Anyways, but yeah, I didn't want to ask, I didn't want to pry, but yeah, it was a red flag. But in Florida, right, if the kids are under the age of 12, don't they automatically stay with mom, like, or under?
I don't know. What do you mean? No, there's no automatic. There's no automatic. I mean,
a newborn baby that's breastfeeding, like, I don't know, like.
I mean, I don't think the state is going to come and yank the baby off of the tit. I don't think that's going to happen, unless that tit is.
On crack.
I'm like, all fun and joke aside, like if that's a crack titty, I mean, if she's on cocaine and that cocaine is being transmitted through that breast milk to the baby, it's probably doing that baby. Look, I'm not qualified to talk about this, but also strange as an aside, I was like, if I come up with one of these gems, like in terms of like the legal stuff.
But I always thought it was like once with the custody thing, if they're under a certain age, like mom automatically gets like the majority custody. I don't know. You know
why you don't know why that's based on anything? Because it's not based on anything. Meaning that
a child's age matters, like when you're talking about custody. So
yeah, but what's that based on? In other words, I'm not trying to be facetious.
Psychology and just what's the other sociology? Like kids should be with their moms. Like
no, I understand what you're saying, but just. Here's the thing, a fundamental thing like I wanted to kind of appreciate. There's people who want the world to be a certain way, right? But then there's the way the world is. So you might want the world to be like, hey, we all appreciate that this is important. I was
just asking.
I know, but this is important. I want children to be, taken care of, especially between a certain age, and maybe mom is more important for that. And that does factor into the laws to some extent. Like when the legislatures, those people in Congress are trying to make the laws, they'll usually rely on that kind of information to determine whether that's a good law or not. Sometimes, recently, not so much. But the reality is, what's going to trump that is other things. And it could be any other thing. So it's hard to just say, oh, well, I think it's better that the baby with the mom. Maybe. Maybe not. It just depends on that kid and that mom and
the situation.
So I would want to have any sort of broad-based rule that said like mom should always be the default, because I don't know that's true.
Mom is not actually equipped to.
Like suppose mom can't like play Call of Duty. Suppose she's like crap at that. Suppose she can't like.
Oh, like me.
Like you have to be playing everybody on recruit level, and like we over here trying to shoot down experts and professionals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm no good at that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that was one thing. Like when the kids are playing video games, I'm like, they eventually realize they can't ask me. Like they have to ask dad. Like, oh, dad, I'm stuck on this level or whatever. Like, yeah, I'm useless. Happen? Yeah, all the time. My kids are gamers, and their dad is a gamer. So, and I'm just over there like playing Tropico, my world building game. Like, oh my God. I'm a dictator and whatnot.
All right, it's so
awesome game.
Let me see now. Okay, so let me see. So, family. So that's a whole bunch of family on the domestic side, and his family on the family law side. But maybe we want to talk about like on the criminal side, right?
Okay.
Like, how about because people ask this, like, hey, Greg, can my wife go testify against me?
No.
Oh, you giving advice now?
Once you're married, like,
Yeah, no. Yeah, there
better
is a
call
marriage
Saul.
privilege.
Yeah.
There is a marriage privilege. So you can, as a spouse, compel your spouse to not testify against you on things related to that. There are always exceptions, and there are exceptions to that.
what are the exceptions?
I did not plan on coming and talking about this, but I do believe there's an exception if you are both committing crimes. Because generally speaking, you don't have any privilege for criminal activity. So if you are both committing crimes, so if, you and I are married and we're out here robbing banks, right, for example, then you could be a situation where, speaking of robbing banks.
OMG.
Oh, look at this.
Getting run up. We about to get robbed. Hide your chains.
Hide your chains. Devo, bro. I'm just going to tuck mine in.
Nah, you're adding some layers and flavor to it. So,
Okay.
privilege.
All right. So, yeah. So if you're both committing crimes, if you and I were married, for example,
And we were robbing banks.
And we were robbing banks.
Yeah.
You'd probably have to testify against me. You'd probably have to testify. You'd probably have to enter an agreement and testify against me because I don't think you're going to have that privilege from that perspective.
But that only applies if we were both just out here robbing banks.
But like if I was out there robbing banks and I came home and be like,
I could say I have no idea, right?
got him. I mean, you could say anything.
Yeah, like the mafia women. They have these wonderful.
My suggestion is that
houses.
you tell people that you need an attorney right away and you say nothing.
Keep your mouth shut.
Yep, that's a good idea. Because I don't like the way you think.
I'm just saying, you could be like, oh, I don't know anything. I had no idea where all these fancy jewelry and cars were coming from. I don't know. I thought he was just, he had a bonus at work. Whatever. Promotion.
You will end up in federal prison.
For what?
The way that you describe, like, oh, I could just say that I didn't know anything. Just
You can. What's stopping
hold on.
you
Let's talk about self
saying?
snitching. Let's just talk about self snitching for a
Oh,
second.
God.
Hold on, no, I gotta talk about this because people self snitching all the time. You see that? That what you just said right now? That would be entered against you
Okay, whatever.
to prove that you actually
But I'm not
did
out
know
here
what you were.
doing I don't care.
I know you're not here doing that shit, but the reason I'm telling you that is because just to show how people actually be like talking out the business.
I'm just speaking hypothetically. You can say I didn't know what he was up to, right?
Oh well, now that you put it in,
Jesus.
allegedly.
Yeah.
Now we all good.
Self-snitching.
Yeah, no people be
Anyways,
snitching.
no,
Be like,
this is
I
all
could just say
allegedly.
that
This
I'm-
is none of this is legal advice for me.
All right. Anyway, so but we're asking whether or not you could.
Yeah, can
but
you
you can
just-
say anything you want, but it's still
Yeah.
lying if it's not the truth.
Okay, whatever. They gotta. It's for me to know and for them to find out, right? Allegedly.
Yeah, so that's a crime. But that's
Okay.
a crime. Well, it's a crime that doesn't need to be committed. In other words, why lie? Why
Because you're
lie
trying
when
to protect your spouse.
why lie when you can remain silent?
Okay.
Remain silent is not lying.
Okay.
So why lie when you can remain silent?
True.
Don't commit
Okay.
any crimes. Mm-hmm. That's why. Because I mean, the thing is, people don't think about that. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm going to help myself." And let me tell you something. Here's a fact for you. Except for that one guy I saw on YouTube where the two white cops were arrested him and he was laughing at them, told them they were stupid because he was actually an FBI agent and they were about to find out when they saw his ID.
I saw that video.
Apart from that video, I wonder if you can like flash it up somewhere. But apart from that video, you don't get unarrested. You don't get unarrested. You're not going to be like, oh, I mean, they arrested me now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this room. I'm going to eat this McDonald's and I'm going to tell them why they made a mistake. No, bro, you're going 10 to life. That's what's going to happen. You're not going to talk your way out of it. So it's really important. Like you might have this urge, oh, I'm going to protect Ray Ray, right? No, bro, you're not going to protect Ray Ray. What you're going to do is put yourself in the location and then end up adding 10 more years to your sentence. So, ultimately, like, it's easier not to say anything. Did I say this on the pod? I was watching The Wire. I don't remember which episode it was, but they caught some guy. You know, the cops are always stopping people. So they ran after some dude. They caught the guy, and it's like, hey, what's your name? And he's like, peanut butter jelly. Like, where you live? Peanut butter jelly. Like, man, what's your name?
Peanut butter and jelly.
And I was just like, oh man, that's genius. Like, use those statements, bro. Like, use those statements. Like, you can't
I feel like that's a one-way ticket to jail, though.
You're gonna get beat down, probably.
Yeah.
But
peanut butter. They're gonna.
You're not. You missed rule number 1. You're not getting unarrested.
Oh.
So say peanut butter. I mean, don't.
I'd rather
that's really
not.
bad advice. Don't
I'd rather
actually
not
do
get.
that. But it's what I'm saying. Like, don't say peanut butter jelly, because in reality, like, I mean, do say peanut butter jelly, or don't say anything.
That part.
Just say, I want a lawyer. In fact, that's trigger. I want a lawyer. I want a lawyer before I answer any questions. Anything after that is really inadmissible, especially if you can prove that you said that first, right?
Okay.
So you want to say it again and repeatedly and again and again and again. I remember cops are also, tread lightly. If they're asking what your name is and be like, I refuse to speak. I mean, maybe you can give them a name. Unless, of course, giving them a name is also problematic, in which case you might say, look, I'm not answering any questions, bro. You know what I mean? It could be a problem for me.
Why would... Okay, I'm not even gonna...
Some people might have other warrants, man. You know what it is.
Oh, that's what I was thinking, like FBI most wanted list and stuff like that.
Yeah, it becomes problematic sometimes. Like, I don't want to talk about situations, like, but I will say, no, I'm not going to say. I don't want to say nothing. Because even I know, like, there are a lot of people that were helped by me telling, allegedly. Y'all prove it, because you don't know where I was when I did it.
Oh, boy.
But, I mean, there are people that to be like, hey, listen, you need to just shut up and just sit down and just go home, and your life is going to be better now. Why are you here trying to cause yourself problems? Just don't do that and just go home. Mm-hmm. And you know what happened in all of those situations, from what I can tell? Nothing happened. They went home. Some people that really feel the urge that they have to go and do something, you might want to talk to a lawyer and just fight that urge, because sometimes you're going to go do something that's going to cause problems for only you and not the solution you thought you were about to create. Anyway.
I was recently watching, it was a true crime video, and the suspect, sat there in the interrogation room for over 3 hours, just completely silent. And then eventually he broke his silence, and I think he just started talking. And I was like, well, what was the point? Why were you quiet? Couldn't you have just left? Like, or said, I want a lawyer? Like, why sit there and not say anything?
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on, like, the context. So it's different, like, if you're, like, walking down the street and a cop walks up on you, versus if a cop stops you and walks up to your car window, mm-hmm. versus if you go into the precinct. Well, yeah, and
this was the situation where he was already in the precinct. In the interrogation
being in the
room.
precinct, it also matters, how did you get there? And I mean, it matters in every context. Did you drive yourself there because you wanted to go? Did somebody tell you, hey, come on in, and then you drove yourself there? Did somebody go see you and be like, hey, come with me, I need to bring you down to the precinct? Yeah. Because all of these make a big difference about how I'm going to advise, and that's kind of the thing.
Come with me, like, we need to ask you some questions.
Oh, you need to shut the up.
Well, that's what he did, but then, like, he started talking after 3 hours of silence. So I thought that was weird. Like,
remember what I said? I said what triggers it is not the quiet. Mm-hmm. What triggers it is, I want a lawyer before every questions. Once you say it, you have invoked your right. Okay. So the only way they can take, so and this is a really good point. People need to know this. People, like, they're sitting on YouTube like, I don't answer questions. Okay, that's great. You haven't invoked your rights, though.
You didn't say the magic L word.
Yeah. I want a lawyer. If you want it to be all good, man, you're going to need a lawyer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you want to invoke your Fifth Amendment privilege to remain silent and to have an attorney present before any questioning at all times. And you say that, and then basically, especially if they're wearing a body camera or whatnot, especially was on, you ask them, hey, is that body camera on? Like, yep, perfect. Hey, listen, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, and I will not answer any questions without an attorney present.
Yeah.
And then that's it, you're invoked. And that's going to protect you. It's like a cloak, put that on you and be like, all right, bro, no, whatever. You guys can't ask me questions. You ask me questions and be like, Nah, bro, I have already invoked my Fifth Amendment privilege. No, here, I want to tell you something, because there's some sneaky shit. And I mean, I just need to understand some of the sneaky shit that goes on that people don't even think about. So invoking your privilege, right? It's something that you do. What happens, let's say the cop stops you for a DUI and you're like, okay, I know I'm screwed, I'm a DUI, and I heard some lawyers say like I should invoke my privilege and remain silent. Let me tell you some of the sneaky shit cops are gonna do. They're gonna go, hey, blah, 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 I need your name. I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege, and they're like, And in your name section, or somewhere in the narrative to put, defendant keeps on saying he invokes his Fifth Amendment privilege to say, as if to say that your invocation by itself is somehow proof that you're intoxicated. Look what he's doing. He keeps on saying invoke, invoke, invoke. And that's what they're doing, by the way, in case you didn't know. That's exactly what they're doing.
So they can use that against you.
Oh, yes. They're going to even try and use that statement against you. And if you don't catch it, if you're,
So you're saying there's times where you invoke it and there's times where you should hold off?
No, you should always invoke it. I was just trying to show you that there's even times when people are going to try and use the invocation against you. Those DUI situations. It's a special type of situation, but, we should only have to say it once, in other words. So, after that, you'll be like, I already told you, I'm not answering any questions. But, I always tell people, like, look, if the guy has, like, a big, heavy pipe that he's holding on to and he's sweating profusely from the brow, and you're tied up with your hands behind your back in what looks like is a part of a cell of this police station in some weird town, maybe cooperate. Maybe cooperate. Maybe it's a good time to cooperate. Maybe it's not going to go exactly what you thought it was going to go. Maybe it's time to cooperate. Still invoke, like, hey, listen, I'm definitely not going to talk to you about a lawyer, but having said that, which I'm not revoking, I just want to die. So so let's see how we can get out of this, because you look really scared with that mask and whatnot. All right, maybe that was my dream. All right, so I think we just did a whole show on family. We have added a few little extra spicy bits there. All right. You're
just saying we did or we didn't?
I think we did.
We did.
I think we did something.
We
what do you say, Mr. Producer? You think we did it?
Drop some comments down below.
Oh, by the way, because I forgot to do this, like, big shout out to GQ's Craft House, who graciously allows us to shoot our pods here, and big shout out to DJ GQ, good friend of mine, and of course,
shout out to all the fellow paralegals out there. Stay strong.
GQ, by the way, I'm not drinking any of the beer that's here when you're not here, just so you know. This is ginger ale. All right.
Allegedly.
So, all right, until next time, this has been Lawya Bizniz with your host, Greg McFarland, and
Vanya the Paralegal, a.k.a. Vanya the Oracle.